Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praise unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. And I want to just do a news blitz real quick, mainly focusing in on World War III, which we're already in the midst of World War III, you know. But what we're focusing on is the final battle, the final battles of war, because pretty much most of the wars which most of the battles which have been fought after World War II have been basically a war, proxy wars between two great powers, which is Russia and America. You know, that's just how it is. So these powers have already been fighting each other, you know, indirectly for a long time now, and they're still doing proxy wars to this very day. But the day's gonna come when this war is gonna go direct, you know, and that's gonna be that final stage, man. That's gonna bring great death and destruction, man. Alright, so let me get Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. Because even though we're in evil times, bad things are happening at this moment, there is an even more evil day which is coming, man. A time of great tribulation, man, where great death and destruction is going to sweep across the face of this earth, man. You know, famine, the sword, all that stuff is going to come in its completion, and that's really going to be heralded in by what? World War III, martial law, you know, and all the things that's going to come with that. All right. It says, nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Because in that day, man, when all hell breaks loose, man, it's going to be dark out here, man. You know, it's going to be real dark. Alright, so what I want to do is just cover some quick news going into this World War III. Now, it says here, from freebeacon.com, senators told North Korea nuclear threat is urgent. And of course the threat is going to be urgent because they require this urgent threat in order to continue to position themselves for the war which they know is inevitable with Russia and China and their allies. So right now what they're doing is they're using the threat of North Korea to position themselves, to pre-position their military. That's what it is. This is chess. This ain't checkers. Alright, so in order to do that, they need to justify why they're doing it and using North Korea as a smokescreen, as an excuse. Alright, so the Senate took part in a rare White House briefing on Wednesday to hear what senior leaders described as an urgent national security threat posed by North Korea's nuclear and missile programs, which all they have is a nuclear and missile programs. America already has nuclear weapons of the highest order. So what's the deal here with North Korea having them weapons? If the dude was that crazy, wouldn't he just continue the war with South Korea that he's been at a standstill at for the last 20 years or whatever? It just shows you it's all bullshit. But they need this show to justify themselves, right? It says the hour-long secret session for all senators was held at the Eisenhower Executive Office building next to the White House and included a brief appearance from President Puppet Trump, who made short introductory remarks. Marine Corps General Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, also took part in the session. His presence is an indication that military options for dealing with North Korea likely were discussed, and of course they are, because ultimately that's what it's going to come to. All these sanctions and all that, yeah, that's part of warfare too, but ultimately it's going to come down to metal versus metal, man, and they know this. Okay, America is a very militarized nation, just like ancient Rome was, man. They're based upon their military. Alright, just like in ancient Rome, if you wanted to be very popular, you went to war. You know, Julius Caesar, Crassus, Pompey, these were all men that received a lot of their accolades from conquering foreign nations, man. And America's no fucking different. That's why a lot of these senators, a lot of them are ex-generals and stuff, and they get praised. Oh, he served his country and all that bullshit. Alright, support the troops. It says new steps by administration would include the imposition of additional economic sanctions. You know, blah, 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 blah. Like, they talk about how they want to peacefully denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, but every year they hold war drills down there, which heightens the tensions, makes things worse. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, I want to jump down to a point that they made here. It said Barroso said he favors increasing sanctions, including sanctions on China. Now, if you know anything about sanctions, man, basically the more you sanction other nations, man, you cut off their bread, the more likely that it's going to lead to what? War. Trade wars, economic wars lead to real wars, man. And that's one of the reasons why Japan attacked America in the first place, because they put an embargo on Japan, I believe, on the oil going into Japan. So you back a guy into the war, he's going to fight. All right. It says, Coons, you know. Senator Chris Coons called the session very clear-eyed, sober, and serious. Coons told MSNBC the administration is working to avoid a conflict. Yeah, sure. And making it clear to China how serious we are about preventing North Korea from developing the capability to deliver a nuclear warhead by ICBM against the United States or one of our key allies, and that there are real efforts being made to avoid a misunderstanding or miscalculation, because I do think this is a very dangerous circumstance and situation. And make no mistake, China know exactly what this situation is all about. That's why they sent troops down there to the North Korean border, because their thing is they're not going to allow North Korean lands to fall into the hands of the enemy. So as soon as there's anything, they're going to send their troops into North Korea to claim that land, man, to shore up their border. Because they know ultimately that's exactly what this thing in North Korea is all about. It's all about America using North Korea to bolster their military might in the Pacific theater, okay, against China, because they're the big dog in that area. It's that simple. That's why they're trying to invoke Pearl Harbor as well. Let's play this clip. They're trying to invoke Pearl Harbor in this situation too, which that goes back to World War II.
The head of U.S. Pacific Command told Congress today that Hawaii needs more protection against the potential attack from...
God damn, is this based in Hawaii, man? Look, it's all you Esau, man. He does that mind control on people everywhere. The way they read, the way they're dressed, the way they talk, you know, the tone of their voice just screams American, man. I mean, damn. Esau doing a hell of a job out there, man. But anyway.
North Korea.
The threat was the focus today as the entire U.S. Senate was called to the White House for a secret briefing about the rising tensions in the Asia-Pacific region. Ashley Nagaoka reports.
But Kim Jong-un is clearly in a position to threaten Hawaii today, in my opinion.
Testifying before the House Armed Services.
So they're directly invoking the spirit of that Pearl Harbor sacrifice, man. Esau, man, he knows what he's doing.
Committee, Admiral Harry Harris says more should be done to improve Hawaii's ability to protect itself from North Korean threats.
No, basically, more should be done to bolster the Americans' military might in the Pacific against China. And they're using North Korea as a pretext for that. That's all it is.
The leader of U.S. Pacific Command says Hawaii should have its
U.S. Pacific Command. Remember that. U.S. Pacific Command. The Americans have a world empire. They have their military based all over the world, and they got the world split up into regions which they want to control. They want to have hegemony over. And any nation within that region which poses a military threat is on the list to be taken out. And China is a threat to them in the Pacific. They already vassaled out Japan. China is not a vassal. They want China to be a vassal. But China has decided they don't want to be a vassal. They're cooping up with Russia. So they're going to buck heads.
Own defensive radar. He also wants to study the possibility of installing interceptor missiles in the state.
We have X number of interceptors that can shoot down Y number of targets. And if the opposition fired Y+1, then that's at least one. That will get through.
Hawaii's congresswomen, who both serve on the committee, say they are looking at what technology best suits the state. In the meantime, they say the U.S. must exhaust diplomatic solutions, like having China put economic pressure on North Korea.
If there's anyone who has,
which that may or may not happen at the end of the day. No, China's going to play this however they feel is going to be best suited to hurt the enemy and their plans. So we'll see what China does. They could say they're going to put sanction, but then on the back end smuggle resources into North Korea anyway, through proxy, through some other, there's always a way to get around things, you know what I mean? So they're invoking Pearl Harbor now. I'm going to put this in the description box. Pearl Harbor was a false flag, man. They allowed Pearl Harbor to happen. They had pre-warning of Pearl Harbor. They allowed it to happen as a pretext for them to enter into World War II. I ain't going to read none of this article, but I'll put it in the description box. And this same Pearl Harbor deception is what they're invoking in this situation, because they want to bolster their military in that region. Now, I've got a thing here called, because you might hear me and Ariella, we mentioned theaters of war, and other brothers too, because there's a lot of brothers in GreatMillStone that really key in on this topic. And you might hear us use the term theater of war. It says in warfare, a theater, okay, or theater is an area or place in which important military events occur or are progressing. A theater can include the entirety of the airspace, land, and sea area that is or that may potentially become involved in war operations. All right. Now, when you go back into World War II, I just want to show you that in World War II, there were three main theaters. Let me show you that real quick. So it tells you here, you had the European theater, you had the Mediterranean, African, and Middle East theater, and you had the Pacific Asian theater. Now, World War III is going to include all these theaters plus some. That's why you got, let's get it up. That's why you got the American military has these different theaters. Okay, you got US PACCOM, which covers this whole Pacific region, including India, China. So America knows that they're about to go head to head with Russia. One of their main allies is China. So what they're doing is both using North Korea, which itself is a target for them to bolster themselves, as an excuse to build up their military in the US PACCOM, US Pacific Theater of War. And Africa is a theater of war. So they deal with, I believe like now they want to go into Somalia. You got different French troops and that which are down there in West Africa. So they're in Libya. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to be a theater of war to Africa. Of course, the Middle East is going to be the epicenter of World War III. Europe is going to be a theater of war. The Atlantic Ocean, the Russian submarines and whatnot, they're going to be going at it. Antarctica, Pairs going or whatever, Arctic, wherever it's the Arctic, the Arctic, that's going to be a theater of war. And for the first time ever, America itself is going to be a theater of war. Unlike these other, most wars America has fought, they have never had to fight on their own soil, but they're going to have to fight on their own soil in that day. The Russian bombers, and they're going to be trying to do what they got to do. They're going to have submarines off the Pacific launching into America. It's going to be crazy. You got the US Southcom, because there's going to be there's allies of Russia in South America, man. And America has their bases down. They're going to be going at it there too. So you see, America has this world empire, and that's why they spend so much money, because it takes a lot of money to have all this equipment and resources in these different regions, man. And like I said, this whole thing with North Korea is all about the build up, because they got a big fight in their hands against China and possibly India, and them probably gonna flip sides too in that day. Australia, that's one to watch, because one never knows what Australia might do. Philippines is already looking like they're looking to flip over to Russia. And Japan, I always say, man, watch Japan, because the scripture says, when they shall cease to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. So it's gonna be a lot of crazy shit happening in this war. But that's basically what's happening, the understanding of what's going on over there with this North Korea thing. You know, it's all getting, the wars and rumors of wars are being used to preposition both these great powers into place for the final battle. Okay, so hey, now is the time to seek the Lord before these two bulls butt heads, because once they butt heads, a great dark cloud is gonna descend upon the earth, man. Great death, and that in that day it's gonna be too late to repent, because that's the judgment hour. Okay. Now, I want to also cover this article real quick. Cashless from Reuters, Cashless Society getting closer, which is all a framework for the mark of the beast, which the mark of the beast is going to be sprung upon. It's going to be sprung. Once this economy collapses, man, and all hell breaks loose, that's when the mark of the beast is going to be issued by the state, man. You know, that's just how it's going to be. We're already in a cashless society. We're already there. It's just a matter of them bringing in the right chaos to establish the order that they want, which is everyone requiring that chip for every and anything to do with the state. Okay, so we already there. They've already built up a framework, and these systems are everywhere. Everything is paperless now. These systems governmentally, most government organizations are paperless. You know, over here in the UK, you used to have a tax disc on your car and the MOT pay. Now you don't need none of that. It's all on databases, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's already going that way anyway. It's just a matter of bringing in the chaos to bring it in hardcore. Okay, through terrorism, all this stuff.
Paying with cash could be a thing of the past. A study showed Wednesday that more than a third of Europeans and Americans would be happy to go without cash and rely on electronic forms of payment if they could.
And that's just the people who willingly will accept that. But what about when all hell breaks loose and they're hungry and they need food and the government is the only one that's there in these camps to provide it? How many of them do you think would be willing to be chipped to receive those rations? Then you're going way above 30%. Trust me. There's something you will do in times of peace, and there's something you will do when the pressure's on. Okay? What do they say? Desperate times call for desperate measures. That's why they're gonna really when they bring the chaos, that's when you're gonna really see this mark of the beast come into life, because they know they're gonna have the people in a hard place. Just like with Pharaoh. How did Pharaoh get the Egyptians to give up all their lands? Through the famine. Okay? Not saying he caused the famine, but they wouldn't have ordinarily given the Pharaoh all that power over them if it wasn't for the crisis. Alright?
And at least 20% already do. The survey by ING bank website Easonomics was conducted across Europe,
which considering they only want 20% of the world's population, you know, think about that. So they're ready to do what they got to do, man. The only thing that's stopping them from bringing that chaos hardcore is that the Lord wants his elect to be sealed. Okay, which that's happening rapidly anyway.
The US and Australia. A significant 34% of respondents in Europe and 38%.
And it's funny how they're focusing on these areas which are directly controlled by the beast, which is the EU and NATO. Because this is their program. You got these guys out there saying the mark of the beast ain't the implantable microchip. Then you please explain to me why the so-called white man has invested billions and billions and maybe even trillions into these technologies and have made sure that the RFID technology has permeated its way through all areas of society, man. Explain why have they gone through all of that trouble to build this system if it's not the system of the beast? Come on, man.
The US said they'd be willing to go cash-free permanently.
There tended to be more of a...
And a lot of that is going to be the younger people. Older people, they don't really adapt that well.
Towards accepting cashless transactions amongst the countries, but lower income levels. Romania, Turkey, for example, and to a degree, Poland.
And cash is already getting less popular. More than half of the European respondents said they'd used less cash in the past 12 months than previously, and 78% said they expect to use
So
it
that
even
shows
less.
that shows you how fast this thing is moving, how fast the psychological preparation is working. That is true. Within the last 12 months, a lot's changed, man. You know what I'm saying? You see a lot more people paying with their phones and all that stuff now. You know, it's more convenient. Let's just be honest, man. You go into the store and you just pay for what you want. You just tap it on now. It is. I use it, man. I'm not gonna lie. I use my contactless payment card. It's fucking quick and easy, man. I'll go in there. I don't have to talk to nobody. I scan my shit. I tap my card and I'm out. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna take the mark of the beast because I know what it is. But I'm just telling you, cashless society, man. It's the way of London, man. Okay, you get on the bus, no one pays the bus drivers with money no more, man. You can use your bank card, which we already prophesied that was going to happen, that your bank card is actually an Oyster card now. So instead of having an Oyster card to pay for the bus, you can actually just tap with your actual bank card. And all these Visa and MasterCard, they're all set up by the elite, so they're all down with it any damn way. Faster pay and contactless payment. It's all, them guys all go to the Bilderberger meetings, man. They know exactly what time it is. They know they're the captains of industry. That's how they control things. They have their people in place to push the world in the direction that they want it to go in. Micah 2-1, baby. Come on, man.
Over the coming 12 months, payment systems such as contactless cards and phone-based digital wallets have become so prevalent, the issue has even become political in some countries. Cash fans Germany are concerned by the European Central Bank decision to phase out the €500 note next year, saying it's the start of a slippery slope. The Central European country still likes hard cash, with only 10% telling the survey they rarely use paper money. But the survey also showed that in most countries where cash is still widely used, residents were most likely to want to go cashless.
In my own thoughts is, we'll never go completely cashless. But
yeah, he's saying that, but he doesn't understand that they have something planned, man. It's called chaos. We can never forget this. This thing is not just going to come in and they're going to do it slowly over 200 years. They're getting you used to it and getting it ready for you. Then they're going to BAM! Hit you with all kinds of chaos. And that's, you're going to find yourself with no cash, just a chip, man. And at that line to get that bread. Okay? It's where you're going to find yourself.
Or people will end up in a situation where they can quite comfortably get by for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, even a week without ever.
No, there's gonna come a time when every day people are gonna be in them FEMA camps and they're gonna be getting issued their rations, and their rations are gonna be through that chip. There's gonna be no cash, man. It's gonna be done away with real fast, real quick. All these world currencies, they're gonna be blown out of the sky. That whole system is gonna have to be wiped. But what do they have already? They have the computers there. They have the programs. They have everything they need for resource management through RFID. That is all it is, man. I keep telling brothers, when you think about the New World Order, when you think about the mark of the beast, one of the number one words that should pop into your head is resource management. That's all it is. The control of resources by being able to quantify everything using RFID, ubiquitous RFID, and ubiquitous computing. That's all it is. Resource management. You're controlling resources. You're controlling the resources that people receive. You're controlling resources that people produce. That's why everything is chipped. When you go into RFID technology, it's used in every industry to quantify everything, to control things, so that the computers can control what's going on. Without ubiquitous computing and ubiquitous RFID, you'd have to go back to paper, which is very slow and difficult to control in real time. Okay? It's all about resource management. Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, it's all about resource management, control. When they're controlling what you buy and sell, that basically means they're controlling everything. They're controlling resources. All right, so we're rapidly approaching that time when they're just gonna say, "Fuck it, we've done enough. We've planted enough seeds. We've marinated these people enough. Now it's time to put them on that grill and finish it up." All right, and that should take you to Revelations 12 and 12. That should take you to Revelation 13th chapter from the 16th verse on down, man. The mark of the beast. So we're approaching that time. All right, everything is tied together. The economy, what you see happening with these wars, it's all ties together, and it's gonna create a perfect storm of chaos, man. And if the Yahweh Shem Yahushua ain't with you, you're gonna be caught out there in these things. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom.